Astronomical levels of violence being reported in Nunavut schools. A cop pleads guilty to assaulting a child, but will get to stay being a cop. Calgary's water problems have led to 2 workers being injured. Canada to send Ukraine decommissioned weapons, and the number of displaced people in the world rises to 120 million. Good morning. It's Friday, June 14th. I'm Nora, coming to you from Winnipeg. Here are your headlines. This morning we'll start in Nunavut, where 83% of teachers there say they have experienced violence. 90% of them say that they've witnessed some kind of violence. The data was gathered by the Nunavut Teachers Association. Nick Murray from CBC reports that about 30% of their membership answered a survey. Association President Justin Matchett said this, quote, "If any other department in Nunavut did a survey like this and the results came back that 90% were witnessing violence, they would probably shut the department down," unquote. Most of the violence reported was verbal abuse. 46.8% of the reports were related to seeing violence between students. 38.5% said they experienced the violence themselves. And very surprising to me, at least, is that 9.6% of respondents reported experiencing teacher-on-teacher violence. The Teachers Association said that they want more resources and training to be able to deal with volatile situations. Nunavut's Department of Education refused to be interviewed for this story. Next, a cop who has pled guilty to assault has been given a conditional discharge, reports CBC's Christy Neese. I'm going to give you the details of the assault, and they are extremely distressing. So feel free to pull your headphones out of your ears and count to 15 if you don't want to hear the details. The officer, Constable Mohammed Khan, grabbed a boy's jaw with both hands, forced him face down to the floor, and then put a knee and then a foot on the boy's back. Then he picked the boy up and escorted him away. This all happened inside a hospital. The boy was in the midst of a mental health crisis and was in the custody of the Children's Hospital of Eastern Ontario under the Mental Health Act. The boy had been swearing and quote-unquote racially insulting Khan. Khan had picked the boy up at his residence after police were called because he was allegedly choking his sister and threatening his family. He had just been expelled from school and his behavior had been escalating before the incident. Khan has not been convicted of other assaults. Here are the details of his conditional discharge. He will have no criminal record and must abide by a 12-month probation order. He has to do 100 hours of community service and pay a $100 fine. The Crown was seeking a 30-day conditional sentence. The judge wished Khan good luck and said after the hearing, quote, "You're a good man and have a lot to offer the community," unquote. Neese added this in the article, quote, "But Griffin, the judge, also warned Khan that if it happens again, his policing days will be over," unquote. That's right, because he's still a cop, which seems at the least of it, weird. Cops should never resort to violence. And in this situation where tensions were high and the child was probably out of control, Khan demonstrated that he can snap. Not exactly an ideal character trait to have when you're a cop. I really don't understand how anyone would keep their job after that rather than, be encouraged to try a different job. It's no one's right to be a cop, Khan will be investigated by the Police Conduct Board. No one from the victim's family was in the courtroom for the sentencing hearing. Now to Calgary, where that city's water problems are ongoing. The latest is that 2 workers were injured while trying to fix the water main break, which has wreaked havoc on access to water in the northwest of the city. Omar Sharif from CBC News is reporting that it was the Bears Paw South water main that broke. The pipe is 11 kilometers long, and at some parts of it is as large as 2 meters wide. The workers are not in critical condition. One was a city employee and one was a contractor. This water main break has been catastrophic to the city. Calgarians have been asked to conserve as much water as they can. Mayor Joyoti Gondek said that the city doesn't have enough water in reserves in case of emergencies, like to use within hospitals or to fight fires. The city's also placed a fire ban, and the city is under mandatory stage 4 water restrictions. And it isn't just the Bears Paw water main. Another water main broke at 85th Street and 46th Avenue Northwest, leaving some residents of Bonus without water. The city doesn't know what caused the mains to break, but they will be doing an investigation once water service has been restored. Next, Canada is in the, quote, send Ukraine our garbage, unquote, phase of military support for that country's continued resistance of Russian aggression. Anya Karadiglia from the Canadian Press is reporting that Canada is going to send 2,000 decommissioned CRV-7 rocket motors to Ukraine. Canada's decommissioned stockpile is 83,303 units and has been removed from service since 2007. But the Ukrainian ambassador said that Ukraine would be able to use the decommissioned weapons. Canada will also send 130,000 rounds of surplus small arms ammunition and 29 Nanook remote weapons systems. The announcement was made while Bill Blair is in Brussels for the Ukraine Defense Contract Group, an alliance of countries supporting Ukraine. Defense Research and Development Canada and Magellan Aerospace and Defense Research are going to run tests to see if any more of the decommissioned rocket motors can be sent. About 8,000 of these decommissioned rockets still have warheads in them. And finally, the global population of people who've been forcibly displaced has doubled over the past 10 years. 1 in 69 people worldwide, or 120 million, are forcibly displaced. The data analysis from Al Jazeera is based on data from the United Nations High Commission for Refugees, also known as UNHCR. Not surprisingly, forced displacement in 2024 has risen significantly. People are fleeing violence, persecution, and human rights violations. Maybe you're someone who was forcibly displaced in the past 10 years, or maybe your family was, or a friend. Or maybe you have no contact with these 1 in 69 people. But with conflicts forcing millions out of Sudan, the DRC, Ukraine, and, well, not forcing them out because Israel has trapped them, but in Gaza, it's so important to remember that every single one of these people is just like you are. They have left everything they've ever known, or known for a very long time, to seek safety and refuge somewhere else. And our governments barely pretend to care. Of the total population, 68.3 million people are internally displaced. That includes, of course, Gazans. 43.4 million people crossed international borders, and 6.9 million people are seeking asylum, a number that rose by 26% over last year. To give you an example of how this number of displaced people has grown over the years, in 1967 there were 2.1 million refugees worldwide. But by 1980, the UN tracked that there were more than 10 million people in the world who were refugees. By 1990, that number doubled to 20 million. Now, it's stabilized until about 2003, which you will immediately know was due to the U.S. invasion of Afghanistan and Iraq. There were also civil wars in Syria and Sudan, and by 2021, there were more than 30 million refugees in the world. Then, Ukrainians fleeing Ukraine pushed that number up by 6 million people more. 72% of refugees come from 5 countries. In order of the number of refugees, they are Afghanistan, Syria, Venezuela, Ukraine, and Palestine. And countries that have the largest refugee populations are Iran, Turkey, Colombia, Germany, and Pakistan. It's fascinating how only one of those countries would Canada call an ally. Those are your headlines for Friday, June 14th. Folks, it is Friday. Oh my God, it's Friday. And it's the end of, for me, a period of 3 weeks of absolute pandemonium. I have been nonstop. You've heard me whine about this before in other podcast episodes, and I'm going to whine about it again because it's my show. I've been so tired. I have been everywhere. And you just heard at the beginning of this show, I'm in Winnipeg. I'm not even in Winnipeg long enough to go for a walk, which is super sad because this is definitely my 4th favorite city in Canada. So to everyone in Winnipeg being like, what the hell, Nora, you're here, you're not calling me? I can't. I'll be flying out of here so fast. And I had to make it a short trip because I had to tack on another trip to this trip. As you know, I was in Ottawa. So all of that is to say, it's Friday. I hope you're celebrating that it's Friday. I hope you're having good times this weekend, whether or not that is good times at work or good times at home or good times by yourself or good times with friends and family. Celebrate the season, celebrate the day, celebrate life. It's the weekend, and I will talk to you on the other side of it.